Why can't we help ourselves?
No,
why does it appear that we can't help ourselves?
I do not totally agree that we can't help ourselves, because in our individual lives, we're helping ourselves. We're seeing Nigerians build businesses that are thriving. We see Nigerians engage in activities. They are being celebrated around the world. Their success by their own, in their own right, and by their own efforts. But when we come together as a country, it's always a problem. And clearly, there's a problem with our mindset. Clearly, we have a mindset problem. Because only a people that have a mindset problem would do the same thing again and again and expect a different result.
Where did that come from?
You know, it comes, of course, we are a product of the society. I mean, we are all here. We have been so beaten to submission. We are so given to the use of force. He was talking about somebody pulling a gun, somebody trying to, use excessive force, which to them is a show of strength. But in actual fact, is a sign of weakness.
Yeah, but should we look at this as a complex whole, or we should be compartmentalizing the whole scenario?
As it were, we can attempt to compartmentalize, as it were. Number one, those who carry these guns, for instance, they are Nigerians. They're human beings. They may have been given orders by whoever has given them orders, but they are Nigerians. And in every order you are given, as much as I know in security, parlance, you use discretion. You can't go against the people.
What kind of discretion could you use if you're told to go and snatch a ballot box? It's either you just refuse blatantly.
You should refuse. That's the point. You should refuse. I mean, we've seen reports where men in uniform, these ones are not fake. Men in uniform, senior officers, they barricade the highway. Ballot buses and result sheets are coming from maybe hinterlands to the city center where the collation is being done. They hijack these things. Just a minute. They hijack them. And by the time these ballot boxes resurface at the collation center, the figures have changed.
What about the scenario, the Kaduna scenario, where it was reported that while the men barricaded the road, preventing people from moving when they were supposed to go vote, then the senior officer said, the senior officer then came in and said, but if you see them with PVCs, they're going to go and vote. So you have to let them go vote. So in that case,
God bless the senior officer. Now imagine if that senior officer had not intervened. Now imagine how many more people had been sent back home who just didn't, they tell you, go back. They tell you, just go back.
Are there cases where you just blatantly told them, don't go and vote? Do you know of any? Do you know of any?
But guys, we are not going back
to
the process again. You are raising this conversation to the point of vision. That's what is called tone at the top. In every organization,
tone.
A tone.
The tone at the top.
At the top.
Sometimes is that what they call body language?
Sometimes you call it body language. This is what everybody will know, that this is how Oga behaves or what he wants. It's a very dangerous thing. It's also a good thing. It's a good thing because if, for instance, which was what the president brought seemingly when he came to power, the tone was that this is a no-nonsense, incorruptible person. So the institutions, everybody manage themselves. If you don't back that body language with structures that interpret your body language, people will begin to second guess. Then after some time, they say, oh, don't say I'm finished, nothing they happen. So the point I'm making here is that the conversation should be, Nigerians should get and it has to be the government, call a referendum. Who do we want to be? How do we want people to see us? For ourselves. How do we want to engage? What kind of relationship do we want to have with one another? What represents things that we can say, hey, we can't go beyond this? Example, sanctity of life. So if somebody is shot, everybody shuts down.
I like that part where you talked about education, let me reflect on it a little, because, as you said, if we don't get the education, we'll not get anything right. If we don't get education, it will be a reflection of what happens when the army is sent out on election day.
Absolutely.
If you don't get even election for the army itself on what to do during elections, but you restrict that education to the hierarchy of the army and deploy the low-ranking officers, we're still going to have a problem. How do we then work around the advantage of education to sensitize the military, the police, INEC itself, the people, such that we now look at that vision that you're talking about? A vision where perhaps lies in the bosom of the younger politician.
Let me put it this way. When you go and start doing what I would call silos engagement of the architecture of governance or states, you lose it. It has to be in the DNA. Let me give you an instance. What if you build 6 world-class universities in the 6 geopolitical zones? I mean world-class. That will attract the best professors.
Does it have to be from scratch or improve on the current ones?
You can even convert one of the foreign ones. I mean world-class. And give yourself 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years. That's why I said leaders don't want the accolade now. 20 years down the line, somebody will say, who built these 5, 6 universities? Then you will have affected the very fabric of the system. What if you give a law and say every child must go to school? Somebody one day will say, who built these Almajiri schools?
Because they are functioning.
You may not give him any accolade today.
Because
But some people will come out of that school 10, 15 years' time. Even if they don't want to talk about him, somebody will say, who did this? We want to reward him.
I think it reminds me of what happened, I think when Babasinde Fashola or STM was governor of Lagos. At some point, they said, look, all these people lining up to give me awards. Don't give me an award now when I'm governor. When I'm out, give me the award. Let me see if that's really what you want to do.
Do you know that every governor, the president that comes in, if you have not, the first thing they give you is an award.
For coming in.
For coming in. GCFR, GCON, for
being in that position.
For winning an election, or I don't want to use the word, winning an election, and then you become, they give you a sash.
So we need to introspect and see what we do to
You have no pressure whatsoever to now deliver. You've gotten the award. There is no incentive forever. For instance, I see near the secretariat some copper shaking a person living as an epitaph for dead people. Later, people will say, somebody like this did well. But it just shows you clearly that we are in a society that is rewarding failure.
You know, someone suggested something. He said, look, why don't we perhaps, maybe if you pick up that amendment or that proposal, maybe the 9th Assembly, if they will just pick it up and make some adjustments, perhaps to include when we all go to line up, you know, to vote, can we make it in such a way that nobody has to know who you're queuing up behind or who you're going to vote? Everybody just join the line. The equipment or the machine will be there, so that when you get in there, whoever you want to vote for, just like when you want to withdraw your money from the ATM, nobody knows how much you want to go get from the ATM.
Yeah.
So when you get in there, you just press whichever candidate comes up, you thumbprint, or whichever way.
You're talking about electronic voting?
Yeah.
That's the way to go. And that's why I feel a bit concerned.
But no, that's the way to go, but how do we get there is what is happening.
Just do it.
The only way to get there is to go there.
How?
Just do it.
When there are restrictions.
Just do
With all the restrictions.
That's why, you know, what I mean, we've been hammering on legacy. Because it will eliminate these issues of vote rigging, vote buying. I mean, of course, you can compromise the person before the person comes, but by the time we're getting there...
No, beautiful concept. I agree. He agrees too.
Yeah.
The question is, how do we get there?
Okay, how did we get to start using the card reader?
Card reader.
Someone insisted that it had to be done.
Yes.
So you have come now. Take it to the next level. So that we eliminate, I mean, there are questions being asked where states that are like theaters of war. You are having more voters, more votes, as it were, coming from those regions than areas that are peaceful. There are questions that we can't probably answer today. But some of these interventions in the future would eliminate some of these things. And the only way to do it is to do it. Yes. The only way to do it is to do it. The resources are there. It's just the willpower. The resources are there. There's never a time that we have said in this country, oh, we are unable to improve on our electoral process because we don't have the funds.
But let me quickly bring in
every now and then we see several billions of naira.
Yeah, do we have the capacity to prosecute electoral offenders, which may include soldiers?
The capacity, yes. Is the will. Is the commitment. The capacity is there. The laws are there. The law borders on the capacity. The laws are there. But because such persons were carrying out the instructions of certain persons who are highly connected, who are in the corridors of power, as it were,
they are not above
he
the
says,
law.
don't worry, at some point we'll make sure that that matter does not proceed any further. But that is where the citizens come in. That's where the civil society organizations come in, where they insist. They insist, and when they are not getting justice in our local courts, such persons, it should be done in such a way that we can drag them to international courts.
Should we even get to the point of bringing in the military if we are not militant as a people? You talked about mindset the other time.
Yeah, I mean, like in a state, just before the elections, I mean, I was watching and I was shocked to hear a director general of a governorship candidate of a particular party calling for the military, in saying that the whole place should be militarized. I'm like, hello, what are you talking about? And then, true to what he called for, we've seen the outcome in that state. Talking about Rivers State. Do we need this at this time? We don't. We don't.
That's why I'm asking, would we need the military if we ourselves, because you talked about mindset the other time. So that's what I'm looking at. Where do we begin that reprogramming?
Let me talk something about
just a minute. When we wake up one day and choose to look beyond ourselves, the fundamental problem I see in this country today is that an average Nigerian is selfish. It's either I get it or nobody else gets it. We talked about the not too young to run a law and the fact that we could have credible alternatives.
Is that an average Nigerian or average politician?
No, talking about average Nigerian, because these politicians don't come from the sky. They come from the system. And even when this crop of politicians leave, the next ones that come seem to just continue on the same trajectory. And that is really, really sad. Now, the point is this. When you come in, you know that it shouldn't be about me. He's been talking about the hour of blessed memory. Talking about hour, we're talking about different people who have done things that today we are all glad that these people came. The question is, when you leave, would posterity be glad that you went through here? Or would they remember your name and what you did and place a curse on you? So it is that selfish tendency. And if we can get it out, that was why the third force was a failure.
How?
Because even when young people, I mean, the so-called alternatives, when I use the word so-called, with due respect to them, I mean, they came together under pact and they couldn't agree. And Nigerians were so hopeful that among these guys, one candidate would emerge and we will all rally behind him. But we couldn't get that.
Is that the selfish element you're talking about?
That is it. Because if it is not you, then nobody else should get it. And that is what, has permeated our entire politics.
Aren't we assuming we know what they came for?
But that was what we're told.
But I want to chip something.
That's what we're told.
No. I think
that is what brings
violence. It's a deep question.
Yeah.
We're
assuming we know what they came for.
Yes.
There are conspiracy theories. Many have said some of them didn't really.
They came to bifurcate, right?
Came to disrupt, as it were, that process. They came to destabilize it. They came to make sure that candidate did not, in actual fact, emerge because it was going to pose a threat to those who believed that it is their right to occupy the political space and continue to perpetuate themselves and their children. I mean, I was shocked to see most of these guys we celebrate today, we see around today, their kids have started getting on the ballot papers.
Pascal is coming. We need to go to break soon.
Now, the point I'm trying to make about peace and security, police will secure, if you are 100 people and 2 or 3 are vagrant, the police will do their work. But when you reverse the number, when 98 are vagrant, no police will be able to manage. And that goes to what you are saying. We as a people must, that's why I call for a national convocation. If there's anything anybody who wins this election will do, is to call for a convocation. What Jonathan tried to do. And let's determine how we want to engage. Because the amount of dissatisfaction in the system creates the vagrants that you're noticing, makes it practically impossible. I saw the pain in Olu Phillips when he was showing what happened in Okota. 2 minutes, 45 seconds, 43 seconds, from the polling station to the police station. And a bunch of hoodlums held the whole society there captive. There were about 17 polls. Yet, nobody's conversing, discussing it.